When you say struggling, what do you mean?
It makes me very uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable meaning you feel uncomfortable, physically
Feel
uncomfortable?
very uncomfortable.
Okay, thank you.
It just seems to be the opposite of what I want to achieve,
Right,
holding money.
right.
Just, I'll hold prayer beads or
Right.
rosaries, but not money.
That's right.
Very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But we're doing the second exercise.
Mhm.
And I'm holding, and I have a tiny little, because that's all I'd allow myself to do.
And that's true, that is true.
Because
That's very true.
otherwise it's just really getting icky for me to
Okay.
do more than that. And I'm holding this and doing that second exercise, and I can feel it pulsing,
Thank you.
just pulsing.
You know why?
Okay, why?
Because there is a capitalist buried inside you. That truly does want to help the world and knows and appreciates the value of having opportunity. That's why. And there's an old story that comes from your mother in this lifetime. Now, I'm not blaming her because she's just an example of what happened in past lives that we brought into this world.
Okay.
Okay? But that is the origin of why a little bit of money was creating a large amount of discomfort.
Yeah.
But you were breaking through because you could see the finish line. You yourself could see the finish line, not your mother. You. That's why you can feel the pulsation.
Okay.
Now, we need to work on the correct story of who you are in this world. Now,
Okay.
okay? Now, to do that, let's go back to this. Very good question. Now, this is very good. Okay, so how would we help her? She comes to any one of you, and she asks for help based on this circumstance. What would you say to her? What would you say? How would we help her?
I would
Would
say,
you mind standing, please?
I would say that when you're having problems with the money, that, you know, we're hearing Dr. Gary say that it's opportunity, it's freedom. But what happens when you have opportunity, when you have freedom? You have peace as well.
And does that idea, for example, does it go through brain, heart, and spirit? Does it go into the earth and come back? Now, maybe a version of that will work. That's exactly correct. But we have to find a version of that that will work for you. And we do that, then we can start building on that for the next statement, the next better statement, the next better statement, and so on until you can hold whatever amount of money you want.
It takes opportunity to help other people. Right? It takes opportunity.
And
to do it.
that's
And money.
important for
And
you.
money.
Yes. That's a very important concept that will let it flow through your mind.
Oh, I thought like
Okay. But for her, she has to be allowed to have money in the first place.
Right.
That's the issue. I must be allowed. I allow myself to have money. I allow myself to be not so much trusted, but to have it. Okay, I allow myself, I allow myself, I allow myself. And then eventually we start going away from your mom who never allowed herself to have money. Am I right? Okay, so this is coming from you and your spirit right now, who's begging you to keep going with this, to break free. Begging you. So thank you for asking that question. Please work on that concept. Okay? When you can hold $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 in your hand, it's like nothing to you. Even if you lost that money, it was nothing. Now we've got the right idea. And that's where you're going. Okay? And that's where your spirit is asking to take you. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Please.
The only issue I might have.
Linda, would you mind standing? I want to make sure everyone hears you.
The thing that I have with money, I mean, and this is not a joke, could monopoly money work?
No.
Because the thing, it doesn't seem egalitarian. And it seems like it should be available to everyone. And
It is.
if
It is.
If you're a homeless person on the street, do you have $5,000, do you have $1,000, do you have $50?
You have it in your mind first.
That's what I'm saying. So
You have it in
it
your
can be
mind.
imagined money, it doesn't have to be physical money. It's just fiat currency, as you know.
For us, because we have a chance to make it real and make it work fast, we want to go to the physical.
Right, but if that would preclude someone without any cash to do it, because that doesn't seem, that's against universal law, it seems to me.
Okay, then if you want to help them, who has nothing, you have a lot so you can give them. You get more.
But that takes from them because they need to generate on their own.
No, it doesn't take from them. It does not take from them. I don't care how much money you make, it doesn't take $1 from me. It doesn't take $1 from Cecile, it
Right,
doesn't
but
take
what
$1
if
from
they, if
anyone.
they want the ability to generate it on their own?
Then they wouldn't be living on the street.
Yes, I'm talking,
They would
there
not
are
be
people
living
that
on the street. They would not have the ideas of living on the street. Okay?
I
If they
see that.
really wanted to have the money, they would not be living on the street. they're thinking right now, and I'm not going to try to generalize, but somehow all of us have been thinking of ways of harming ourselves. Now maybe we haven't harmed ourselves to the same level they have, but we've all harmed ourselves to some level. And I'm talking to the people that have the ability right now to understand we don't want to harm ourselves anymore. Now, once we can get to that point of understanding that we are free, then we can go to them, whoever they are, and we can begin helping them. But we're not going to help them because they have such a negative concept. We have to have such a positive concept to override that.
To bring the residents up.
Right.
Yeah. I get that.
Otherwise, there's no hope for any of us. Okay. I came out of one of the worst ghettos in New Jersey. Okay. I saw what it was like to live in poverty. I went back after I graduated from college, and I tried to help the people get out of that through education. Education means nothing. What matters is people's ideas. And until we have a better idea about things, we can't help anyone, including ourselves. And if we're going to look at them, we're wasting our time, because if we look at them, they should encourage us to do better so we can get more than enough to help our family, to help our friends, and to help them if we want to. But we should not look upon them with some type of disfavor or somehow a pity.
No, I wasn't thinking of looking at them in pity. It's just like I would want them to have the same opportunity that I have.
Then you give yourself more opportunity. And then you see if you're going to, what you're going to do with that opportunity. But you can't do anything to help them at the level where you are right now, at least enough to help them. Go for everything God wants to give you, and then see who you are. Then see where that takes you. Okay? Can you trust yourself with having all of that? That's a good question. Then decide what you're going to do with it. But before you look at them, work on yourself. And if they make you upset, work harder on yourself.
Over here, when you talked about the pulsing, I thought you said the second half. Does that mean the pulsing happened when you were looking at your name? When you were doing the name work?
Yes. And I can feel the pulsing when I put my hand over the card that had my name just really intensify. And the hand that I was holding in mine.
So I had the same occurrence, only I assumed that it was circulation. And you're going, yes, it was circulation, Ruth, but not the one you were thinking of.
Right. This is surprising to you, isn't it, Ruth?
Oh, yeah.
Right. No. But keep thinking, my name is, so that it doesn't get stuck in your brain. Okay? You did well. You did very well. AJ. Go ahead.
If I could address something.
Would you mind standing, AJ? It's
Okay,
important.
sure. So if I could address your question about, I think the last year learned it's not a zero net sum game. That just because you're doing better doesn't mean someone else has to do it, as long as you do it ethically.
Mm-hmm.
If you're cheating someone else, then that's right. But as long as you're doing it on your own, there's no law that says for you to do better, they have to do worse.
Mm-hmm.
So that was
Because there's enough for all of us.
that's where I had to change my wiring.
Mm-hmm.
Still not there, but.
There's one more thing to think about here, and this is all very important, but think about this. People have asked me, should you be training people to do this? Which is a very good question. Should you just train anyone to do this? You know what I say to them? I should. You know why? Why?
Opportunity.
Opportunity. And since we have opportunity, one of two things will happen. We'll either get a better understanding of life, universe, people around us, and God, so that we understand there's more than enough for everyone, and we can help no matter who it is. We can help them to any level possible because there's more than enough for all of us. That's one way it could happen. Another way is I could become so selfish, so scared, so petty, that I'll try to amass so much, I'll kill myself. I have no worries about this. You're either going to learn to do it properly, or you'll kill yourself. Okay? I don't have to worry about this. Okay? You're not going to be able to misuse this, at least on other people. Not for very long. Because if you try to, you're going to get a very bad lesson. And the people that I know will understand this, will understand the lesson very quickly and change to the better. And the others, well, they probably don't want to be here anyway. Okay. So I have no reservations about teaching this to any person. We have a choice. We're going to be part of the solution or part of the problem.
I feel like I'm in trouble.
I just want us to understand, as Jesus said, there'll always be the poor. Okay? But I believe we can help the poor. I believe we can do it.
They are us.
I agree. But we can help them more by helping ourselves become more successful. So we can do what we need to do to help them, our families, and other people.
I believe you've helped the whole group by your question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good question.
It's a great question. It's just that I really hope that we can understand for ourselves what is the correct answer. And what you might want to do is look at the poor and think of the idea that goes through your body, and whatever that idea is, that's the right answer for you. But for me, the only way I can help the poor is for me to become very successful. Because I already thought in my mind, the endowments I would establish, the money I would give away, all of these things right now, I already have a plan for them. So that this means nothing. The money means nothing. But that's the purpose for me. Okay. Keep going. Any other questions? Good questions. Anything else? Lord. It's like, ask me.
Well, it was, I found it was difficult to really not difficult, but a little bit difficult to visualize the energy flowing and saying my name.
Right.
And moving the cards while I was listening to other people have
And
conversations.
chewing gum, right?
And chewing gum, yes. But I was surprised that the first 2 times I was successful, but the next 2 times I was very invested in getting it right,
Right.
and I really, there
Blew it.
was not a flow, and I blew it.
Right. And what did
So
you learn
then,
from that?
then Ginger said, just relax, like it doesn't make any difference. And so then I tried to relax, but then I was actually able to relax without trying to relax. And then when I finally relaxed, then I could feel the energy. But I could feel the energy even when I was blowing it. I could feel the energy off and on.
Okay.
It just wasn't as even. So it's just something to practice.
Oh, and
And
practice, and
practice,
practice, and
yeah,
practice,
yeah.
and
So-
practice.
But that key about relaxing and just letting it instead of trying to make it work
Right.
was very helpful.
Makes sense? It's it? Sure.
So when you're
Would
doing
you mind
this,
standing, sir?
when you're doing this on your own,
Right.
then you're just shuffling the cards in your back
Right.
and putting them down the whole time. You're saying your name,
Right.
you're thinking of the flow, you're doing that part of it all
Right.
the same.
Same.
And then just practice. You're
Just
just cutting
practice.
out the other person. It's the same
Same thing.
thing.
Now, you might want to do this on the phone with your partner. Think about it. See what you can do. But if they're on the other side of the world, it doesn't matter. They don't have to be in the same room or touching. Okay? Let's, Barbara, would you mind saying?
Can you-
I want to make sure everyone hears
Is
this.
it okay to use more than 2 cards, or is it better to keep it to 2?
Keep the 2, keep it simple.
Okay.
Develop your confidence, get your practice, then we'll go to next week. Let's talk about next week for a moment here. Next week, we're going to go into the future. So here's what we're going to do next week, to give you an overview. The group is going to decide on one person. You're going to decide on one person, and that person is going to come to the front, and they're going to get 2 names from this group, 2 separate names. We're going to have 4 cards this time around, 4 cards. 2 of them will be blank. 1 each will have 1 of the names from the audience. So what we're going to have, in effect, we're going to have a matrix. Okay. We're going to have 4 cards. 1 will be name, 1, name, 2, blank, and blank. Okay? So, what we're going to do, they'll have 2 cards, 1 with each separate name on it, 2 blank cards. They're going to shuffle. You're going to have your backs to that person while they're shuffling. Then they're going to put the 4 cards on the table. We're going to look at the clock, and we're going to choose a time. in the future, where that same person who did this work, that one person, will come up to the front and they'll pick 2 cards. 2 of the 4 cards. You're going to tell me which of the 2 cards they're going to choose.
Which of the 2 cards who's going to choose?
The lady or the person that will be up here. So they'll have 4 cards, okay? 2 blank, 2 names. They've been shuffled. The person who did the shuffling, which is the person who's up here, the one that you chose, they don't have any idea what's on those cards. Nor do you. But at a certain time in the future, and we're going to decide on what time that is, they're going to come to the front, and they're going to pick, they're just going to pick 2 cards. Interesting?
Yes.
Now, I'm giving you this information to set you up. Because the way to think about it is, we have a matrix. We have a matrix of something like this. One of the cards will be a blank, the other card will be a blank. There's a name, individual names. I want you to start thinking about this to see how can I possibly create from the information you have already, that we've been using, how can I possibly create a system that will allow me to determine the future? You can do it. I've spent 4 years developing these ideas, and now it's really working. You can do it. But I'm setting you up, and this is why we've been going through this each week, getting you to this point. Makes my hair stand. It's exciting. Okay?
So each of us individually are going to decide which of the 2 cards that person's going to...
We're going to work in groups. We're going to work in groups, 2 or 3 groups. Okay? You work together as a group. Come up with ideas. Make a prediction. But I'm giving you the information to get started now to think about it. Now, you might run home tonight, and for the next 6 days or so, just keep thinking about this night and day. You might. You might, okay. But you know what I would do to get started with this? I'd go to bed tonight, and each night I would say, subconscious, you know, I'm not sure what to do. But I know you've got the answers for next week. I know you're going to give me the right answers. So you tell me, subconscious, how can I approach this? And tell it to work on you, night and day. So when you wake up in the morning, you're subconsciously thinking about the answers. You go about your business, do whatever you're going to do, I don't care. But if ideas come in, you may want to write them down. We're going to get started on this tonight, solving this issue. Interesting?
Will the person whose name is on the card, would they be able to hold the card first?
No.
No?
You're going to choose, or that person, the person you selected, come up to choose the 4 cards, whoever that person is, they will choose 2 names. They will choose the 2 names. They'll write those names down and put a circle around those names, just like we've done tonight. Okay, then they'll shuffle. They'll shuffle them, they'll put them down. Our backs will be turned, so we don't have any idea what's here. Their back will be turned. They'll put the 4 cards down.
So we don't know either of the 2 names.
Oh, you'll know the names. You'll know the names. They'll select the names from the audience here, but then they'll tell us what the names are.
Okay.
Thank you. They will tell us the names. So we will know the 2 names, and we'll know that there are 2 blank cards. And then we'll have a time in the future that will come up, that person will come up, and that person then will select 2 cards. Any 2 cards, that's up to them, but we're going to predict which ones they're going to choose.
Is it important that you stay with yourself?
You mean like I am, using your full name? You tell me. That's for you to start working out.
I think it is important.
Yes, it is. It's very
Not
important.
let this other energy interrupt your own self.
It can be, but you may also want to work as a group, like all of you are saying, like, I am able to do this as a group, and you're seeing the energy through, but I'm just trying to give you some ideas here how you might do this, but I'm going to tell you this, if you doubt yourself, if you stop that energy flowing through your body, you might as well not even try this. It won't work. Okay? You've got to have the energy going through your body. You must have it. Now, whatever method you use, I don't care what the method is that you use, you must make sure that energy is flowing through your body. Okay? If I stop myself, I'm wasting my time. I'm not going to get the right answer.
it's a little off the walls, but metaphysically, is it true that we're gonna choose the time, and what that person is gonna, which of those cards that person's gonna, which of the two cards that person's gonna select?
Right.
That's already determined, or are we in the process, sort of doing a Heisenberg thing,
I know what you're saying.
is it predetermined that what
It is.
that person's gonna draw on? We're just tapping into something that, time-wise, it's probably already happened, but it's in our future.
Heisenberg uncertainty principle tells you that if we interfere with the experiment, we will interfere with the results.
Yep.
Okay? So we're not going to interfere with the experiment. We're going to go into the time when the person selects the cards. We're just going to go to the results. We're not going to interfere with the experiment. That's the beauty of what we're doing. Did a lot of thinking about that. Okay? Because I don't want to interfere with a race or something that's happening. I don't want to interfere with that. I'm going to the end of it, and I'm looking at the results.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay,
See how
that
beautiful
was
this
my
is?
question.
See how beautiful this is? Okay? It's already been determined. We're just going to let it happen. And we're going to predict what it is without interfering with God, laws, and anything else. Okay?
That was the question.
Along those lines, when we have the ability, obviously, we do have the ability to make that change.
All the time.
There is, I mean, we're discussing how our energy might possibly interfere, therefore, we are aware that we do have the ability, in other words, you know, picking up and focusing on a 4 or a person's name
Right.
could influence it.
Very much.
So we're aiming for a different process.
And thank you. What we're aiming for is we're looking in our mind ahead, whatever that time is, and as they're picking up the cards, we're seeing what the two answers are as they're picking up the cards. So like they turn the cards up, they look at it, we're looking at that spot in time. Now, I want you to think about something, because to a lot of people it may seem like, how do I do this? Well, think about this. Every one of us has either had premonitions in our dreams, or we've heard of people that have. We know that we do this all the time. But I've spent 4 years trying to figure out how do we do this on a constant basis so we can do it like this and turn it on whenever we want to, so we can use it however we want to use it. We already have this ability, we know this, but how do we turn it on so we can turn it on whenever we want and not just have to wait for prophetic dreams or something like this to come through? We know we can do this. That's not an issue. The question is, can you begin to understand and accept that you can do it like this? Getting it past brain and heart. You were doing that tonight, which is why I want you to experiment with the money. You were getting through, and it worked, right? All right? It worked. So can you now take it to the next level of understanding? Can I go into the future and see the future? The answer is yes. So start from the yes and work your way back. Be confident. Just like we said, if you're not confident, you stop the flow of energy. If you stop the flow of energy, you're wasting your time. So keep saying to yourself, I know the answer. I know the answer. I know the answer about the future. I know the answer about the future when you're thinking of this. Tell your subconscious at night, this is what I want you to do for me. Tell it. Expect it to work. Yeah, last question.
Yeah, so it's really not the, at first I thought it was not the answer you wanted, but you wanted to know what our approach or our method was. But not really. You just want the answer. Yeah?
Right. Well, that's all that matters.
All right.
That's all that matters.
I understand.
I spent a lot of years studying a lot of different ideas, and the only thing that matters is the answer. As long as it's part of my purpose, destiny, part of my brain, heart, and spirit, that's all that matters. Keep it simple. Thank you. Okay, I think we're done for tonight. Ida, would you mind?